Welcome back to episode 2, guys, where today we're going to be finishing the world tour where I get you guys up to speed on all of the projects and everything I've done so far in this world so that we can move on towards starting new projects or finishing old projects and just playing the game more. And today I think I have left the end and a couple of farms in there to show you, and then my two main projects, which the witch farm and the ocean monument. And you can see I've tried to theme these pods on the nether roof that lead off to my portals with what they're leading to, or the area they're related to, except for the witch farm. It's using red sandstone, which isn't really related. It's just that was the first one outside of that other one I created, which this other one it's nothing special. It leads to like fresh generated terrain after the 1.18 update, I believe, which introduced all of the changes to the world gen. So that's where that leads to. But yeah, let's get started. But yeah, nothing fancy here, just a portal in the doorway that leads straight to the end portal. And I did break the silver fish spawner, so we'll have to find another one if we have any ideas or plans for that. But let's get right into it. So right off the bat, there's a couple of things. We have the classic end farm right over here off the edge of the island. I am not particularly fond of this design, mainly because it's a square surrounding the endmite, and what that leads to when we get down here is a 3x3 box with a pillar in the center that the endermen kind of fall around. And in order to get the most out of this farm, you kind of have to hit them and then like skirt around and keep skirting around in circles around it. So if I were to, redo this, I just looked at a few of them, I think. If I were to redo this, I would do the design where it's kind of like a funnel into the endmite, and then they fall down like a 1x2 or 1x1 hole, so that they're all clumped together, and it's just, you kill them faster, and you can kill them in larger quantities. And that's just one irk, I guess, about this farm design that I went with. I also realized I left this here from the last episode. That's I was repairing the shovels after collecting the dirt you saw. And yeah, so in the chest, nothing special. I have some diamonds if I need to make tools. I have a ton of books, and these are ranging from the first slot enchant to the third slot, depending on if I just need to reset the enchants for the tool I'm going to enchant for. Double chest full of ender pearls, nothing too special. And these are just some tools that I can use for combining. Like I could combine this shovel with an efficiency 4 book to get an efficiency 5 shovel. Pretty good. Same with actually these two. Those 3 shovels. But nothing too special. I think these are just the building blocks. Yeah, building blocks from the farm. And some enderman heads from killing them. This lever, which if you guys did see the intro to the last episode, it's mainly for dropping the ender pearls that fall onto this circle from killing them, because I'm looting 3, so it's usually a lot of entities. But yeah, that basically wraps it up. I mean, the top of this is your classic, just covered in water, and then there's the funnel, so that enderman can't teleport outside of that center place. Let's see. Can I get down here? Yeah. And if we fly up to the main island, you're probably going to be seeing this a lot. This should be cleaned up, but it's not. It's a wither rose farm that it's using the portal that spawns here when you kill the end dragon to trap the wither in it, and it actually destroys it. Fun fact. I believe this is kind of still functional. The wither's dead because I didn't like hearing it every time I entered the end. But this up here is just a small platform for spawning enderman, and it has the endermite up there in it. Actually, this is the design I would go with, because this showcases it perfectly. Instead of a 3x3 tunnel, it's just this 1x1, and then they fall down. It's a lot better. It's a lot better than doing it in the center of your platform, like the first farm does. But yeah, what would happen is the enderman would fall down, the wither, which is stuck in this cage, would get angered and blast them, and then it would generate a ton. Oh, there's some wither roses in here. But would generate a ton of wither roses. Let me see. Ooh. There we go. Yeah, nothing too special. Just some building blocks. And lastly is a shulker farm. And this was fun. This was my first time actually making one. Oh. Looks like there's a shulker on top of the beacon. I did not know they could spawn there. Yeah, first time making one and had to bring a shulker all the way from, you know, one of the islands on the outside, which is kind of crazy. But you guys may recognize this. This is Etho's reactor design. It's actually really fun. And I have some beacons set up for resistance and regen, so that when you're going up and down it, you don't die as much. I am careful. I do save all my stuff in a box when I AFK here for long periods, just in case, because there is a small chance that, like, how this farm works is at the bottom of this centerpiece. You guys can see I have quite a few shulker shells here, but at the bottom of this centerpiece, I don't know if I can see it from this floor. If I go down here, I can. There are 2 blocks, a soul sand and a magma cube. The soul sand will push you up, magma cube will pull you down, and it's just meant to keep you in the center of this farm, so that the shulkers are trying to hit you, but what ends up happening is the projectiles, they chase you whichever way you're going, and they end up hitting other shulkers, causing them to replicate, causing them to either die. And this outside ring of water you see falling is to force any shulkers on the outside to go back on the inside. And then after they get hit with their projectiles a few times, they end up dying, and the shulker shells will fall down and get collected here. And, you know, you're hopefully still alive in the center. But like I said, sometimes as you're going up and down, the projectiles will hit you and dislodge you from that center stream, and then, like, causing you to get hit more, which will then cause you to die after a certain amount of time. But yeah, I find the beacons help a lot. Keep them on the outside, and they're covered in torches so that the shulkers don't teleport to them. Although, I guess this can actually be a test real quick. Can you put... Oh, you can put a torch on top. Okay, wait. We're gonna go do this real quick. I didn't know you could put a torch on the beacon block itself, which would stop this guy. There we go. So that will stop that. Oh, as you can see, it's kind of happening. They're all trying to shoot at me. And they're all gathering right there. But yeah, that about wraps it up for the end. I don't believe I have any other farms in here. There's no future plans right now to do anything with the end island, but who knows, maybe something will come in a future episode. But let's take us to the next area. These next 2 projects, or the last 2 projects, they're pretty far from my spawn in the world, and so those are the longest nether tunnels, I guess. They're not really tunnels, nether highways that I have. And it does take quite a bit of time traveling to them. If I want to come, this is the witch farm. If I want to come or go from the witch farm to the ocean monument, that is about the farthest point to the farthest point. It's about a solid 7 minutes of just traveling on boat and, you know, getting from point A to point B. And something else real quick is you might have noticed these signs on all of the pods, especially back where they're all located centrally. And it's kind of a way for me to remember, not that I forget often, but a way to me to remember, you know, just what goes where. And the center sign is for where this path leads to directly, while the signs on the left and the right are kind of for any tunnels or highways that are to the left or to the right. And there just so happens to be, when the mangrove swamp was added, that I went from the witch hut portal and, you know, went off a distance to new terrain and made a portal there. So that's where I got a lot of my mangrove wood and the proper fuel, so I can grow the trees myself back here, somewhere closer. But yeah, so let's get to the witch farm. All right, so this is the first of my mega projects in the world, mainly because, as you can start to see, I had to use a perimeter machine, and I actually did it before the I want to say the 1.18 or 1.19 update, whichever one extended the bottom of our worlds to like another 64 blocks. And I just recently, actually did a second perimeter machine to finish that. If I have any screenshots, I'll try to put them up in the video now so you can kind of see the progress a little bit. But it's a smaller perimeter due to the spawning sphere. It doesn't need all of that mined out, and I kind of wanted to save time. So this block with a black carpet is my AFK spot for when I'm here, and it keeps both witch huts loaded. And you can see some falling right there, and spawning witches at the same time, and they're kind of both on independent timers. That one just triggered. We'll see. Did it spawn anything? Oh, I don't think it did. I have noticed that it's not as fast as it used to be. And this was, this world is a couple of years old, so that is from a couple of years ago. Because, as you can see, there's something else down there. And I built a super smelter off of the sticks from this farm. At least that was the intention, because I would AFK, a couple of nights, come back, and I had plenty of materials from this farm. But recently, I was smelting some glass for the ocean project, and I used up my entire backlog of sticks trying to feed this thing. And yeah, so it's not usable right now unless I AFK for a lot longer than I used to. I have done some AFKing since I finished the perimeter, but the rates just don't seem to be at where they were previously. I don't know, it's weird. It probably requires a little bit more investigation from me to kind of dive in and see what's happening, but I did finish the perimeter. It's the spawning sphere around the player is completely empty, and it goes down to bedrock 2, so we should be getting the most efficient rates, but I'll look into it and I'll keep you guys posted. But right now, let's talk about this a little bit. So this center chest stack is where the sticks would go. Actually, I'll just showcase. So I have a shulker box of redstone blocks. I have 2 of the glowstone dust, and I actually have another one of just glowstone that I crafted. And yeah, we got a ton of gunpowder from this, which this farm kind of took over my creeper farm that got spawned. So that's why I don't really AFK at that anymore, because I can AFK here and just get a lot more for, however long I spend AFK. I got plenty of sugar, plenty of spider eyes, and plenty of glass bottles. Those last 3 chests will come in super handy when, maybe we go to craft an auto smelter down the road. Because I do want to do one of those, so I can just go up, press a button for a specific potion, and have it craft me maybe like a shulker box worth. That would be really nice. And this farm will probably supply those 3 ingredients. Oh, actually, also glowstone and redstone. And I think gunpowder can be used to make splash potions. Don't quote me on that. Potions is like the one thing I never really fully used. Like, I've crafted maybe a fire resistant potion here and there just for fun, but I really want to get into it and make it really easy for me to get any potion I want. So maybe I use them more, and this farm is gonna power that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some of this redstone if you are curious. So, oh, there's no glass right here. It's kind of straightforward. The unloader is actually at this end, and it's that double chest right there on the ground. And you can kind of see, if I jump up on this, there are 2 minecarts with hoppers sitting underneath it, and they both pull enough items to fully load up the side that they're on, plus extra from it. And they just come down these pipes, or come down these rails, load up the furnaces, and then the furnaces use observers behind them. Let me see if I can get behind them, actually. Oh, I'm gonna have to fly. Or maybe I can land on this beacon. But they use observers behind them, or comparators, to see when the item is passing from the furnace to the dropper, and then that comparator combined with observers will power rail or dust, and it's staggered so that they don't interfere with each other, right? So the dust aren't connecting, the rails aren't connecting. really smart. I also copied this from a tutorial because I really like the design. But like I said, this world is a couple years old, and I don't remember, so I apologize. You might be able to find it if you just search Super Smelter or something similar on YouTube, but it works really well, other than my witch farm cannot supply enough sticks to keep up with whatever I'm smelting. Because I still have about, I want to say 15 shulker boxes minimum of sand that I need to smelt into glass for another project, the Ocean Monument. So we still have a lot of smelting to do. Back here though, it's kind of your standard observer dropper tower up into a double chest, and then those two, each one is for just one of the sides, is where the output goes, and you can collect them. But yeah, pretty standard, just a perimeter double witch farm. I kind of like it so far. I have ideas for what I may want to put on this ridge, because this is kind of cool. It's kind of, you know, the smaller hole instead of a larger hole. I feel like there's quite a lot we could do on this outside. I do need to clean it up, but with just how awful Deep Slate is to work with, I'm in no rush to clean it up. It can stay like that for a little bit. Although I did clean up the original perimeter, as you can tell. The only other thing in this area though is right up here on this mountain. I do have a basic ice farm that just uses a flying machine that will push down the ice. It's currently shut off. That piston is keeping it off. But if I were to let it through, it would just push down any ice formed up here. And this outside is waterlogged half slabs to stop it from freezing. And so it can generate new ice because it will repopulate this row with water source blocks. And I have more beacons. You might notice I have a lot of beacons just littered throughout the world. Yeah, and this one uses gold. But yeah, just your basic ice farm. I don't think I have any stock of ice up here though. Oh, you know what? I do like that because I do need a lot of sand or a lot of dirt for the Ocean Monument. That's kind of nice. It's kind of a nice find. Before we move on to the Ocean Monument, just in case you're curious about, you know, what I have here, I just have some materials left over from the perimeter. Got some wood up here and torches. I think this chest is when I started to really collect cobbled deep slate from the TNT machines, but it kind of sucks keeping up with the perimeter machines because you also got to make sure you don't like blow yourself up in the process with all the like TNT falling from the sky. So I didn't end up filling up these shulker boxes, but I do have a few in case we decide to build anything with cobbled deep slate, so I shouldn't have to worry about doing a lot of mining. But you know, if I need cobbled deep slate, maybe I'll work on flattening out this lower perimeter, making it smoother and making it look better. Kind of sad. I didn't just realize this, but it's probably very noticeable that it's not centered. This smaller hole isn't perfectly centered within the larger perimeter. So yeah, try to bear with me as I don't know if I'm gonna fix that. But yeah, let me head on down to the Ocean Monument. All right, so here we are down at the Ocean Monument, and as you guys can kind of see, it is a large project. Let me get F5 here, but I'm gonna fly up and try to give you guys an bird's eye view of the circle. If I remember correctly, I want to say it's about 312 blocks in diameter, enough to encompass both of the Ocean Monuments, but I gave myself plenty of space on the ends here for a lot of building, and I do have a lot planned for this place, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but I kind of want to go over my method for removing all of the water, and you guys can kind of see it on this half right below me. I have started the work in removing the sand, but you can see that the outside or the rim has a lot of this honeycomb sand holes, I guess. And that's what I did to remove a lot of the water that goes down to the ocean floor. But I basically made these little rectangles in the center, and I used some flying machines to do a lot of the heavy lifting. And I used this methodology for both halves. The very center of this circle, hold on, let me get over there. I did a large rectangle of all honeycombs and I removed it by hand, and that was fun. Uh, I started I started with the ocean monuments, and then I basically worked on connecting them with a sand rectangle of honeycombs, and then I removed all the water. And after that, and it took a while, but after that I was like, oh, you know what? I kind of don't want to do that for these larger halves on either side. And so I started using flying machines, and that worked a lot better. And it didn't remove all of it, sadly. Like, there's just a little bit, but I would rather remove like 7 blocks of water than, the rest of it. And it did speed things up a lot. I think I was able to finish this half in just a few days, which pretty good. At least pretty good compared to my time doing the middle rectangle and the other half of the circle. But yeah, the plan now and what I've been working on is replacing the floor of the ocean from its gravel state with grass so it looks better. I plan to put you can kind of see under the ocean monuments. I plan to put lighting in the grass as well so we can stop some mob spawning. And one of the first farms I plan to make is going to be a moss farm so that I can, maybe texture the grass a little bit, but also hide this glowstone or any other light source I might use with the moss carpet. And also we're gonna be replacing the edge of the circle with glass, and that's why I was using the super smelter at the witch farm a lot, and why I need a better source of fuel there. I believe this is about 7 or 8 blocks, or not blocks, shulker boxes of glass used so far, and we're almost halfway. We still have the middle of that side over there, and then plus we have the whole other half of the circle to do that it still has all sand. So it might be a little bit before that's actually done, but my plan is to at least remove the sand on the inside, and I'll keep the border sand up and replace all the gravel with grass, and that will give us a pretty good starting point for all of our future projects. And the goal, or the original goal of this place, was to be a new experience farm, which is funny because I got tired of using the Enderman farm. I thought it was a little slow when I had to repair more than 5 tools at once, and so I wanted a better experience farm. And what's better than 2 ocean monuments? And if you're curious, it's not a perfect double ocean monument. I believe the monument I'm looking at, about 60% of it will be inside the spawning circle, and about 70% of the second monument will be inside, which is still more than just one ocean monument. But I plan to AFK right here, the block I'm looking at, and I'll have tubing that will pipe the guardians to me here in the center, which means it may take, a little bit for the farms to spin up in efficiency, but once it gets going, it should be okay. It should be like a steady stream of guardians, and it should be better experience than the Enderman farm, hopefully. Well, I haven't tested it. I probably should have tested this in a creative world, but I didn't. So we're just going to be testing it, as we go. And all this work is already put into it. We can take a look inside here. You guys can see the amount of gravel I've already taken from the floor of the ocean. I still have the other half to do. And I plan to save it all, maybe combine it with some of the sand I'm also getting. And, I'll have a large supply of any concrete I would want to use for quite a long time, which I'm excited about because I do like building with concrete. But yeah, next steps is after we finish the floor and removing the sand, I'm gonna try to move my base. Like I can't have the portal right next to where I want to AFK, because then portal noises are just gonna get annoying. So I'm gonna drop it down to the ocean floor, and I also need to dig up my little like makeshift home that I have here for food, and also sugarcane for the rockets, because I was going through a lot of rockets mining, or not mining, but getting all the water out of this place. And these also just don't look good, up here floating in the sky. But yeah, remove all that. Also remove the dirt outline of the circle, because that's no longer needed. And first steps are going to be build the actual ocean monument farms, because I think it's time I get those up and running now that the circle is drained, and actually see if it's anything good with experience. And then, as I mentioned, I'm going to build a few farms immediately, or I'm going to try to build them fast, and it's going to be right underneath where I AFK for the double guardian farm. And it's going to be 3 farms. The moss farm that I mentioned, a bamboo farm for anything bamboo, but also wood, because we can turn in the, I guess, the future update that's hopefully coming out soon. We can use the bamboo to make wooden planks that we can then use to make any wooden block, or chests for shulker shells, or well, I think just anything in general, which would be nice. But also, it's used as a fuel source. Where I might make a second super smelter here, just because I might be AFKing here more than the witch farm. I do plan to build other AFK farms as well, so it's like one spot I can just hit everything. I can get all of my AFKing, get all of my resources gathering. I think that's the goal. That's the overall goal of this place, is just a ton of AFK farms hooked up to maybe a central storage system. It kind of scares me because that central storage system is going to have to be huge with a lot of storage, and it's going to be a lot of work, and also a lot of chests actually. But that's why we have the bamboo farm. But the third farm I want to make is also a kelp farm, just in case the bamboo farm can't keep up with what I want to craft. I'm going to use the kelp as a fuel source, and I think that's a good backup. I'll have them both hooked up, and maybe it'll default to the kelp first, because that's really just for smelting. And if the kelp can't keep up, then it'll pull in bamboo. Like, it'll stop the bamboo from using the auto crafters, and it'll pull bamboo into the auto smelter, because I want to prioritize smelting over crafting, because if I come here with a lot of things to smelt, I want that to be finished as soon as it can be, whereas the crafting is kind of just going on in the background whenever I'm in the area. So it can stop for a little bit. Yeah, as I said, I want to make a ton of farms, and they're going to cover this circle. And the way I want to do it, let me see if I can land up here. The way I want to do it is by kind of building a cityscape, essentially. Build a little flower farm. Okay, let's put a little building around it and kind of turn it into a city in a way. And I think that'll be really cool once I get a lot more farms built and this place starts to fill up. I do plan to have a central building in the center that's going to house the 3 farms I mentioned a couple minutes ago, but it's also where I'm going to stand to kill the guardians for the farm. And right now I'm planning on kind of making it like a tower, or something tall coming out of the ground, and it's going to look cool, I think, being a taller building in the center of this circle. And the last thing I kind of just want to wrap the video up on is, here's a desert that's on the edge of the ocean where the monument farm is going to be, and this is where I got the majority of my sand that I used for filling in that circle. So you can kind of see I've really taken large chunks. I mean, this is a huge desert, but I've taken large chunks out of this desert. I think there's some more back here, yeah, and brought it back. This is where I would come, fill up the shulker boxes, go through 5, 6, or even 7 shovels worth of tools each time, and then I'd have to go to the Enderman farm, repair them all, and then come back and place them. And that's kind of the irony, is this whole thing started because I wanted a better experience farm, but I ended up having to use the Enderman farm way more because of it, all the tools I had to repair. So I just kind of laughed, but we're almost there. It's almost done. That wraps it up for, the world tour. So starting next episode, guys, we're actually going to start making some progress here at the Ocean Monument. It's where my focus is going to lie for probably quite a bit. I'm the most excited for it out of some of my other projects. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode.